A strong foundation consists of a super strong mind, a very healthy body, and a good soul. And over the years, many of us lose some of these foundations. And the key is at any point in time, if you want to really fix your life, you really start with the foundation. Welcome to episode 8 of the OneLife Theory podcast. My name is Rajiv. Today we are going to talk about the first aspect of having a strong self. And the first aspect is nothing but the mind, right? And when I say the mind is the sharpness of the mind is the ability to make decisions, the mind is your level of choice, the mind is your ability to have discipline and take action. And pretty much every other of the 11 sub aspects of life will actually get set right if you get the mind attribute really well. I have personally had a lot of challenges and a lot of victories. For example, 3.5 years back when I started this whole One Life thing, pretty much my mind was the only source of power for me. And literally all of those events that I went through, I hardly even shared with anyone, which in hindsight might have been stupid. But really the power of the mind I could see then. And I could also see the negative power of the mind when things are not going your way. And it's honestly for me happened over the last 7-8 months to around a year, where on multiple aspects of life the mind is sort of not really coped up with, I think, where it could be. And so the same individual can have both extremes in just the last 3.5-4 years. And when the mind is not cooperating, or you're not fully in charge, or you're in a negative zone, it can really impact pretty much every other aspect of your life. And I'm going to talk about that very soon. So having a very strong mind is priority one for having a very strong self. Once you have a strong mind, you can also work on a very healthy body. And the healthy body is important because the last thing you would want is physical gaps of energy, or just your body giving a lot of chronic conditions or problems for you to live your daily life. A healthy body starts with getting at least 6 to 7 hours of adequate sleep, and that makes sure that the rest of the day functions properly. And once you get that, then there are two foundational parts of your body. One is what you put inside the body, and the other part is just being extremely active through the day. A lot of us over the years, because we either start working too much or we just deprioritize it, we just let this part go loose. And I am, as guilty as anyone else. I've had these huge weight swings where suddenly the paunch adds up, or, just some of the parameters go for toss. And just over the last 3.5 years, I think I've had more negative than positive. But in those times when I have actually controlled either my food or the kind of activity that I do, it just gives a lot of positive energy in pretty much every aspect of life. For example, in the last month, thanks to the lockdown, I think I have tried to control my food, and I can visibly see the results in terms of the weight going down or me having more energy compared to, let's say, 4 months back, when I think I had stopped exercise, I'd gotten injured, and I think I started binge eating and the weight just shot up. I still am at least around 6-7 kgs from my ideal BMI, but I think at least I am seeing the trend downwards now. A good part of your weight is actually the food that you eat. It probably holds 80%, and it's not just the kind of food that you eat, it's the quantity, it's the quality of the food, proteins, fats, carbohydrates. So, if you're doing a lot of exercise but you're still adding a lot of weight, that's probably because you're not eating right. And of course, in some of the further episodes, I think we can go more in depth with the help of people who know this far more than me. The third aspect of yourself is the soul. This pretty much combines your emotions, and this is what people call the heart. At the end of the day, even the heart is decided by your mind. But you having a good soul is pretty critical to live in this world, because this world can make you really someone a bit manipulative, someone who is always mistrusting, and someone whose heart is not in the right place. And I think more often than not, we're all told over time when we are in business specifically that, hey, it's okay to have certain qualities where, you're not really watching out for everyone. But I completely disagree. And I have never lived my life any other way. Even those very few occasions, maybe 3 years back, when I have probably been dishonest to myself or dishonest to someone else, thankfully, over very short time, I pulled back. So it's not to say you won't make mistakes. It's not to say you will be a Pakka Buddha or some other god, that you're all picture perfect. But as soon as you realize that you're making some mistakes, can you really pull back with the power of your own mind and become honest? And it is also about making sure that you treat everyone with goodness, you treat everyone with respect, irrespective of the person's background. You treat people in a good way, and you do not judge anyone else for their story, what their situation is. A lot of us today are so proud of our background, our cocoons, that we start judging anyone who's not part of this cocoon, right? And that's easier said than done, because we start making fun and stuff, and that's just ridiculous, because all humans at the end of the day are similar. And one last thing there is also your ability to support either a cause or society in some form or the other. That could be a particular cause that you're supporting, the environment, or it could be feminism, it could be vegetarianism, whatever it is, where there is a particular disadvantage over the last many years and you're trying to make something happen actively or passively. That's also a great part of having a good soul. And ensuring that you're not becoming, just because of the business world, manipulative, screwing others, or the other extreme of being totally naive, because that can also really put paid to good experiences. So I think having a good soul is to make sure that you're balanced and doing all of this in a way that you treat people with a lot of niceness and respect, and using the power of the mind and the body and the soul to make sure that your strong foundation is there, so that whether it's interactions in business, whether it's interactions in relationships, whether it's whatever you're doing generally in life, you have clarity of mind, pureness of heart, and a strong body to live that life.